Hello, my name is Davide Pelino and this is the map I've made for Team Fortress 2, as it was, I guess, from October, or no, it was from November until, I guess, almost the end of the semester. Most of the work were finished, I guess, before April, you know, but I'm quite late now about making the video, but anyway, this is the map. So, where do we start? Let's start, I guess, from the spawn point where everything starts. In our spawn point we have two doors, also two health kit, and these doors here, you know, I was thinking about, for example, adding other side routes, maybe from the left, etc., but I realized that it's quite unlikely that people will arrive here just because there aren't many covers, okay, and so for normal people inside the spawn will be quite easy to open quickly the door and kill everyone if there is someone. But like I said, most of the people will tend anyway to capture on the central point. So we just went down these stairs, and let's try to follow these arrows. Let's keep following the arrow. Let's keep following the arrow, and there we are. It's a bit tricky to see it with all this outline of the enemies, okay, but it's a bit more clearer, okay, when you play normally. And yeah, we have our capture point here, and as you can see here, there is an high ground above. My inspiration for this came mostly, I guess, from the Harvest map, the one with the house, you know, I think it was a farm, yeah. And the way I designed this map is that there is this central choke point here, where people and where mostly long, medium range units would shoot themselves, so snipers, soldiers, because if they are able to keep this area here, okay, it will be quite easy to blast down here, you know, and clear the path. But there are many other routes that they can have. For example, if a sniper sits here, okay, he has partial vision around the objective, okay, and if he moves here, there are some health kits here, but you know, it's definitely more risky just because I designed this cone to be quite big, so you have zero sight about what is on the other side, so people might camp here, like for example this engineer here. But you know, it will be quite hard to see if someone is arriving from this side. Okay, I guess if you place the turret on this side, but it's okay. And like I said, so choke point on the high ground. If you go below on low ground, this is, I guess, the main conflict point. Just because this is where short range troop, okay, will have to kill themselves. There is this bug where the AI tends to fight a bit far too much behind this cover, okay, but it's fine. So as you can see Pyro setting on fire everyone, Heavy dropping down here, Scouts. I'm playing a lot with the high ground, okay? This will make this map very, you know, good, for example, for people like, I don't know, Demo Guy. It was Demo Guy, it was called? Demolition Man. I think that's not the name. Demo Man, there it is. Just because a troop like that loves verticality, okay? So I mentioned verticality. It was one of the points when I made this map, because if I show you this slide here, there you go. Let me zoom in a bit more. Okay, as you can see, this is where the spawn of each team is present. Okay, and it's set on the high ground. Okay, the more you go down, okay, the more area to walk it will be present. Okay, so in this case, level 1 and level 0 is literally where most of the fight will happen. Okay, it's possible, for example, to snipe from level 2, and also for flankers to go directly on level 2 and maybe try to attack snipers and stuff like that. And yeah, for example, this is another example how the sight line works. So as you can see, if you are in level 3, it will be safe because it's impossible to aim from here to the objective. If you are on level 2, you will be able to see the level 1 and the level 0, okay, but I designed this map, okay, with the idea that there is this sort of upside down temple here, so you cannot physically aim from level 2 to the other level 2 on the other map. If you're on level 1 though, yes, in that case you have a much wider view, okay. It will be definitely more riskier because there are so many paths where people can actually flank you, you know, but yeah, it's a matter of the player to decide how much they want to risk, you know. And also I have this picture here that just shows how I use the arrows. So for example, if you see this path here that I will show you right now, there might happen where, for example, you might see two arrows, okay? I use the normal red one, okay, the pristine one, you know, this is a guess, much better card than this one, okay? That tells you, hey, you can go directly in this side and you will reach a capture point. But if you chase this one, which is a bit more ugly, you will do a sort of slightly longer path. But you know, after a bit, you will eventually see the normal arrow, and it will tell you, hey, this direction to reach the capture point. So, I wanted to show you also this other slide here, because this just shows how I use the light in this game. So this is a bit exaggerated just because I use an extra layer to present the idea, but you know, my sun comes exactly from, you know, in this part of the screen, okay? So while in the middle, you know, it's a bit more normal, okay, but the more you go on this area here, it should be a bit more darker. So as you can see here, the sun directly arrives from this side, so all this area here will be extremely lit, okay? But the more you go down here, you'll be more in the shadow, just because, you know, for how everything works. This will help players, you know, to just orient themselves. For example, if they are here, you know, you cannot see much light, okay, from the sun, okay? You will understand that you are close to the sort of rocky wall, okay? I couldn't mesh, sadly, this map. I have to rely mostly on a block out, okay? But let's imagine that this grey wall here, it's like an entire rock wall, okay? While this side here, it's just a view where you can eventually see an entire canyon. And so I wanted to show another slide here. Where is it? Let's make example of how I try to give access to many troops. So, for example, this is an example of how I use the difference in high ground and low ground, and also the free fall to help troops like Spyro to push people below, okay, and kill them, okay. And there is another example here of the sniper. For example, it's aiming from here, and it shows where, for example, you can snipe. So you can snipe on the other side if you are in this position, but if you are below behind this column, it will be harder from the other side to get you. You can aim at the main choke point, you can aim at other area where people can snipe. And yes, so let's see a bit what the troops are doing. We can see an engineer placing these turrets here, which is one of the things that I was expecting, just because I placed this health and ammo kit here, so they can, you know, quickly reload everything. There is another engineer on this other side. Oh, this guy just exploded, amazing. And as I said, the site is quite, you know, hard in this moment, because if you place directly in this side, okay, you should be very safe from this area. But, you know, you will risk the fact that you will not be able to see what is happening behind, so it's up to the player to decide what they want to do. And let's talk about also the capture point. I made it so, in theory, it should be quite hard anyway to defend. So once you get the point, you should, I guess, leave and go in other area, which is a bit better to defend, for example, the high ground, okay? Because if, for example, you're able to hold this area, it will be extremely easy to just blast throughout this. I made like 3 playtests with real people in this map, but the max number of player we were, it was 6. I wish during, for example, the time we were in 6, I could add the bot, okay? So that's the only thing I don't like. I'm just a bit concerned about the design, because despite I respected the distance, so it takes like 12 seconds to arrive from the spawn to the main point. So the sides of the map should be, in theory, on track on how wide a real map should be in Team Fortress. But you know, having sometimes 24 real players that do stuff around the map is a bit better than these bots, you know, that tend to do anyway quite clever stuff, like for example placing here, okay? But yeah, they tend to group up a lot, okay? So there might be many tweaks I would love to do, but overall, I'm happy with the general shape of the map, okay? If there are things that I would love to tweak, for example, could be maybe changing some health kits around, okay, to say, okay, this should be a bigger health pack rather than a small one, okay? Maybe I could also retweak some covers, okay? And, oh, then I'll just finish here. Blue team won, amazing. Yes, I was saying, yes, there are small things that I would love to rework if this map, you know, could have actually been played by 24 people. But in general, as I said, I'm very happy with the shape in general, because I try when designing this map to have something that is a quite, I don't want to say unique, but I guess different from what is already existing in the game. So let's see if I can find a quick reference here. My inspiration for this level was from a location in the series Avatar: The Last Airbender. So if I go here on forum, there it is. That's it. So you can imagine this should be the wall side, and this should be, I guess, yeah, this for example is a good example of how I was expecting things to look. It's quite hard to find a mesh of a temple. There is a mesh of it was I think a Japanese temple, but it's rectangular, the shape of this building, so it's not compatible with what I created. Anyway, as I said, I really like the shape of my map. At the end of the day, this is a sort of King of the Hill map, but you know, upside down. So I respected anyway the fact that when you are in high ground, you will not be able in this case to see people, just because, you know, it's literally the base. Okay, so I'm expecting that if you want to engage, you will have to slowly go down. And so there is also this cute rule that, for example, if you are of the red team and you start climbing stairs, as long as they are red, you should eventually be able to get back to your base. Okay, so climbing ramps should be something quite good. Going downstairs instead will mean that you will eventually go in the middle of the fight, where we are here right now. And yes, I guess this is everything, and thanks for watching, and see you around. And pause.